Hey guys, so it's you'll be listening to this tomorrow, but I'm actually recording this video the night before, and there's a reason for it. Something just took place this afternoon that I thought struck me as really odd and peculiar. Just ironic, maybe is the word, not odd and peculiar. So I had my kids at the pool, and we were driving home, and I get a text from one of my best friends, named Wayne, and I've been meaning to almost devote a chapter of the book and a whole video to him because there's a lot that goes into my love and feelings for him and my appreciation for his friendship. And I got this text with a couple of photos on it, and it said, guess where this is? And I'm old, I need glasses, and I didn't have them with me, so I'm trying to look at it and thinking of some of our memories together and took some guesses. And then it dawned on me where it was, and in the meantime, he's writing me a message that says, those are two of the worst effing guesses I ever heard. And it dawned on me that if you've watched my video so far and taken, what my hopes and dreams are for this journey, you'll know that I'm hoping to finish on Lombard Street in San Francisco and walk down Lombard Street. And if I confess, I have this sort of romantic idea that somehow, some way, my kids will find a way to be out there, and I'll turn the corner and they'll be my kids, and I'll walk down Lombard Street with them. Well, guess where Wayne's sending me pictures from? And I'm like, holy cow, you really there? So was there, he's out in California with his family, and he just walked Lombard Street. And what makes that kind of ironic or strange is that, he didn't do that because I prompted anything. Even though he's one of my best friends, life takes over. With children and everything else, we all go our own separate ways. And I probably haven't talked to him on the phone for 6 months, and I only just a few weeks ago let him in on the journey. So, here shows what kind of kindred spirits we are, that's where I want to end up. And here's one of my best buds actually enjoying it just a couple weeks after I mentioned it, and obviously already had plans to do so. But there's a lot I want to talk about with Wayne. I've actually talked to my kids about him for a few reasons. All good, but one thing that I'll talk about as well. But I think it goes, I really want to give it the credit it's due. But to understand Wayne, first of all, is to understand me a little bit. It's funny, Wayne is 5'5" and about 130 pounds. I'm 6'4", currently about 235, 240. Wayne will be quick to point out that I was up over 300 at one point in time. But we played Little League ball together, and then we got through school, but we weren't tight in school. In fact, probably just the opposite. Wayne is ultra competitive, and so am I. And we competed a lot in sports and gym class and things like that. And I'm happy to say and proud to say that I got the best of him most of the time. That having been said, the other two things about Wayne and I are this. I speak two languages. I speak sarcasm about 80% of the time, and English about the other 20% of the time. And actually, let me rephrase that, because you'll ask some friends of mine and they'll tell you I speak three languages: sarcasm, English, and inaudible mumbling. So inaudible mumbling takes about 10% of the time. Anyway, Wayne matches me in sarcasm and probably even outdoes me. The problem with being sarcastic and a little bit obnoxious, when you're 6'4", even though I'm by no means any kind of tough guy, I still have a little bit of presence. When you're 5'5", the neighborhood junior high school kids think they can take you on. So there were a lot of times after high school when Wayne and I got really close in college that people would kind of, come after him a little bit, and we had to kind of talk away of some situations. But a couple of things that I have to give Wayne props for, because I know he's already thinking about it. He's already told his kids about it, and he's thinking it right this minute. So back in our high school days, before we were real close, we were playing football one day, and there was a play where I was coming to make the play, and my feet slid out from under me. Wayne cut back, carrying the ball into the end zone. I went to tackle him, and he ran through my arm for the touchdown. And I guarantee you the first thing he said is, "Hey Jimmy, remember that time I broke your tackle for a touchdown?" And I got to give him props, and that did indeed happen. So I know he's talking smack right now. The other thing that I'll give him some credit for, we back in the day played a game called, I think we called the European handball. I think in the Olympics now it's called team handball. Frankly, one of the greatest sports that's out there. I was pretty good at it, pretty talented at it, and can dominate a game. But we were in gym class one day, and Wayne came up with a plan. Hey, stop, you two. Wayne came up with a plan to have just some kid just follow me around and shout at me, call him the Shadow. And wherever I went, I could be the complete opposite side of the gym and where the ball is. It could be over there. This kid would not leave my side. And for the life of me, I couldn't get him to move. I couldn't get him to get away. I couldn't shake him. And they shut me down and skunked me that day. And I know Wayne is smiling right now and probably, again, already talked smack to point out the day that him and his plan shut me down in that game. So there's his two glory moments. So let me go on to some of the more, real positive and sincere things. So one of the greatest things about friendship is friends can tell you things and you receive them different than you might from somebody else. And Wayne has been there for me in that regard in so many ways. But we went to college together. We went to a community college on Long Island, and we went through 2 years. But to show you how different people's mindset are at the time, and not even mindset, just maybe drive, character, determination. So I don't think I'm talking out of school. We went to high school. Wayne was probably a mid-80s student, and probably had to work to be a mid-80s student. I was a low to mid-90s student without ever picking up a book. I did as little as possible to get by, and I proved it and showed that. But my point is, here you got one guy working hard to get by, and another guy that's just doing the bare minimum and getting by, rather easily. And I say that not as a knock, but as much a knock on me as it is a compliment on Wayne, but it's both. So now we go to college. We both go to a 2-year school. And after 2 years, I decided to head out into the business world to make some money. And Wayne goes on to a 4-year college, gets his 4-year degree, and becomes an accountant. So at this point, as a bug flies into my eyes, I'm trying to enjoy some nice spring, summer weather here. At that point, Wayne gets a job as an accountant, probably making about $55,000 a year. 21, 22, maybe 23 years old, I don't know. But this is where I kind of admire him greatly. Wayne's been an accountant for a couple of years, and he decides that I don't like this isn't for me, and decides to go in a different direction, decides he wants to go to law school and become an attorney. Now the reason I think that's important and special is so many times in life, whether it's in a romantic relationship, a job, can you please stop that? In a job or anything like that, we get locked into it and we don't have either the courage, which I think it takes a lot, to get away from it. The other part of it is that a lot of people, me included, if I have a $55,000 a year salary, I live to a $55,000 a year salary. So now it makes it even harder to leave to go do something you might like to do because you're, at that level and you're committed to it and you can't take entry level and things like that. So while he might have had some things make it a little bit easier for him, he lived at home and didn't pay rent, but again, how much courage does it take and how much self-awareness and pointing the thumb does it take to say, you know what, I don't like doing what I'm doing and I'm going to go do something I want to do. Tremendous courage. So again, one of the examples I've used with my kids is that, here was Wayne. It didn't come easy to him, but he worked hard and he had some focus and he knew what he wanted and he worked towards it and he succeeded. And now he's doing very well for himself. He's got his own law firm and we're a partner in it. I don't know all the details, but look, he's doing real well and he's earned every bit of it. So to me, he is just a superior role model in that regard to my kids. But one of the things about Wayne, as it relates to me, is, I guess he knew a little bit about my past, and never let it be an excuse or never judged me, and not that I ever use it as an excuse, but but I guess he kind of knew that under the surface there were some things that maybe I hadn't dealt with, and just he allowed me to be me. He would speak candidly to me, and a friend needs that sometimes. And early on in my life, I was somebody that lived for other people. I got my joy by making others happy, and it's not really healthy to be that way. I didn't know how to love myself, but Wayne would call me out for it, and not a lot of friends, A, have the insight to do that, and then B, feel comfortable enough with you to do that. So I'll always thank him for that. And then there was another eye-opening moment for me that I'll never forget with Wayne. The only time in my life I was ever offended by him, and again, if you know something about me, I tell you I can relive moments, and just talking about it right now. So Wayne absolutely always wanted the best for me. One of the things that I thought, another friend I want to talk about, Steve, but one of the things that was amazing about Wayne and Steve was that we played a lot of ball together, a lot of camaraderie, played a lot of ball, and I was a decent ball player. But a lot of people just want to tear people down. You see it in society now, right? We want to tell everybody what they don't do. I never had to kind of brag on myself because honestly, Wayne was my biggest cheerleader, and I can't tell you, how, I don't say flattering, but how nice it is to have somebody, your bud, speak highly of you. I mean, it's just another positive affirmation, and it's nice. People need that. I don't think we do it enough. I don't think men in particular do it enough, men to men. I think this alpha male stuff is kind of out there. But anyway, going back to this one incident that kind of opened my eyes to something. So I knew since I was about 17 years old, all I wanted to be was a dad. It's the only thing I really cared about. And I bounced around from a couple jobs. Some I got downsized. Some I tried new careers, just trying to find myself. And I remember I was driving up the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. I had taken a job to pay the bills that I wasn't real happy about. And I called Wayne and was kind of just asking me how I was doing. I was kind of venting my frustration a little bit. And his words to me were, Jimmy, and all my close friends, I just realized now from my childhood, call me Jimmy. I hate it, but everyone calls me Jimmy, my family and my close friends. So he said, Jimmy, you know what? I wish you would just stick to something and go after it, and you could be such a success. And at that moment, it brought me clarity. And I'll be honest with you, I was offended. And I said, you know what, Wayne? Let me tell you something. I'm really offended right now. I said, I appreciate what you're saying. I know you're coming at it from a good place. But, your definition of success may not be my definition of success. I said, look, if all I do in this world is get a small little house, provide for my kids, plan a couple of vacations a year, and be integral in their lives, that's a success to me. That's what I want to be. When I go, and that's the life I'm living right now, I'm going to be the richest man in the world and have not a penny to my name. But that's how I believe. But it just went to show how people view you through their eyes. Wayne is driven. Wayne has gotten himself to a position that he should be so proud of. He provides for a family. He's a great dad. But we're all different. And to have him kind of basically look at me and say, you're not a success, was hurtful. But not just taking it and letting it roll off my back, but standing up to him a little bit and saying, hey, you know what? I'm kind of offended. That's fine for you, but that's not my idea of a success. And it was kind of a turning point in my life. I still hadn't had kids by that point, but at least I knew I was at peace with where I was at and what I wanted, So, that's a little bit. And Wayne and I have been tight. Like I said, we don't see each other. I'm probably embarrassed to say that I've seen him twice in 2 or 3 years, and you consider somebody a very dear friend. And we only live 2 or 3 states away. But that's kind of what life takes you. But at the same time, I know I could pick up the phone today, and he'd be there for me in a minute. And then there's another story I want to highlight about him, which again explains who the man is and the kind of friendship that we have. So another buddy of mine I'm going to talk about at a different time because I don't want to disrespect either of them, is a guy named Steve Rizza. And Steve is somebody who, I guess I am going to talk about him. Steve is somebody who I met through softball and playing, and I met him later in life. And had I not, I'd probably be talking about him on the level I've talked about these other guys. He just is somebody that, I guess in a way, is kind of like a brother to me. We talk probably more than Wayne and I talk, and we got such a respect for each other. We joke around and like, look, if we get old and buy a cabin on a lake and just spend our old days like the movie Secondhand Lions, just fishing and having a good time, I think we'd both be perfectly happy doing that. But anyway, Steve had organized, we played softball for 10, 12, 14 years, and probably they played a lot longer after me. Steve had organized this great get-together back on Long Island. He invited old umpires we played, all the guys from the teams, guys that were 25 years older than us, that were there when we first started playing, when we were 18 and 19, and they were 40, 45 years old. And it was just a great night. But I was leaving that night to take my family on a vacation, a mini vacation up to the Poconos. And, I lived like a lot of people, paycheck to paycheck. Money was tight, and I said, hey, Wayne, I'm kind of embarrassed, but can I just write you a check for a few $100s? And, and can you hold on to it till Friday? And can you maybe front it to me so I can have a couple days with the kids at the Poconos and have some fun kind of deal? And Wayne said, yeah, no problem. And After the thing, you know, again, not making a big deal out of it, not making me feel humiliated by it.